Sheep Show 2026 in Reno is almost here and registration is open. Sign up, book your hotel, and browse the schedule at wildsheepfoundation.org. Full registration gets you into the draw for a heavyweight sheep camp gear package worth over $10,000. Make sure you're there January 22nd to 24th for the biggest mountain hunting and conservation event of the year. If Reno isn't in the cards, the Wild Sheep Society of BC's Salute to Conservation and Mountain Hunting Expo is set for February 26th to 28th in Penticton. Details at wildsheepsociety.com. And check out our friends at North Arm Knives. From kitchen knives to hunting blades, they've got you covered from the field to the butcher block. Visit northarmknives.com. Guys, gals, welcome to episode 195. We're getting close to that 200. It's only taken 10 years to get there, but we're almost there. Today on the show, we've got Dana Dykema. I recorded this interview with her, early December, and I've been working with her to assist her in getting a brand new podcast going. The podcast is called Ignite, and it's being done in partnership with the Wild Sheep Foundation and Women Hunt. Both of those organizations are obviously friends of the podcast. So this was a great fit to have her on. And I was more than happy to help her jump many hurdles to get this thing going. She did it though. She jumped in head first, worked hard, and the show is now available on all streaming platforms. So I won't say much more, but do go and subscribe to the podcast, leave it a rating and review. All those things help, as I've said many, many times. But let's get into the episode. Sit back, relax, crack an ice cold beer, and enjoy episode 195 with Dana Dykema. Dana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. You and I have been troubleshooting for the last week here, and we climbed a mountain together.
I know. I told Renee yesterday, I'm like, Mike's becoming my BFF. We've spent so much time troubleshooting, and you're the tech genius here, and I really know nothing. So thank you for being extremely patient with me.
Hey, you bet. Of course.
We made it. So hallelujah.
Yeah. So this podcast is obviously centered around you, but we're also going to sort of lead towards a podcast that is going to be coming out soon. I don't think you have a date yet, but by the time this airs, I'll be able to put a official release date in the intro. But I want to get some of your background first. So I believe you grew up North Van-ish. Is that where you grew up, or is that just where you're living now?
That's accurate. So I was born in Edmonton, same as Renee.
Oh, okay.
But I moved to North Van when I was 10 and then grew up here, graduated from West Van, had a short stint on the island in Victoria when I was 18, 19.
Okay.
Moved back to Vancouver and North Van. And yeah, we have, my husband and I have 20 years. We've raised and are raising still our 4 kids, which are all teenagers as of this week. So
oh, crazy.
I'm all living under one roof for a few more months. My son's about to go off to college this summer.
Oh, wow.
So we're just soaking up the time as a family of 6.
Did anyone in your family hunt? Did you have any exposure to it at all?
Not at all. No idea. I remember the only hunting that was ever talked about really was like social studies books in school. And that was the closest thing. But I never knew anyone from my family, friends, extended family. Nobody that I knew in my world hunted.
What about exposure to the outdoors? Like North Van, you're right on the edge of the mountains, and there's wicked trails up there. I've spent lots of time kind of getting lost up there, and it's pretty sweet. So did you have, like much exposure to the outdoors, or were you more of a city girl?
Yeah, I did a lot of hikes, Lighthouse Park here in West Van. My dad always took us camping, my sister and I. But really, I've just been, doing the trail hikes. I haven't spent a lot of time in the backcountry even yet, but I had a pretty sheltered growing up as far as outdoor living.
Right.
Not a whole lot out there in the backcountry at all.
Yeah. So it was your husband, obviously, that introduced you to it. And he was a hunter when you guys met?
No, he's actually adult onset as well.
Oh, okay. So we're all in that same club then.
Yeah. He grew up in Salmon Arm. He's the son of a farmer, chicken farmer, but he didn't have any connection to hunting either. His dad didn't hunt. He just raised chickens for 30 years. And I think it was 2019, he started talking about getting into hunting. I was like, whoa, okay. But 2020, right when things got kind of weird with COVID, he like snuck in there at the last second before things really started getting shut down and took his exam with Eat Wild and passed. And so he got his licenses like just in the nick of time and was able to start hunting on his parents' property. So yeah, he was successful a few times, and I was very happy for him to be the hunter. I'm like, you do that, he was turning in 40 as his midlife thing. I was like, yeah, I'll cook the food. You go out and do your thing. So that was his story.
Right. So he did that with Dylan.
That's right.
Dylan Ayers.
That's right.
Cool. Mutual friend. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
It's been a while. I was just texting him the other day. It's been a long time since him and I have had an official chat, so I got to get him on here too.
That's right. Yeah.
So when did you kind of like start getting the itch? Like hunting might be something that I want to get involved in.
I think it was also me feeling that coming up to 40 during COVID, I had like this epiphany. I always ate. I feel like I just ate conventional. I did a lot of home cooking for the kids growing up and everything. But I just remember in 2020, just looking at this pepper in my hand at Save-On, and like, why is this from Israel? We have the whole Fraser Valley here and there's farmers out there. And yet we're importing all of these things that I know that we grow in our area. Why don't we have it in our grocery stores? We're importing from all over the world. Like, who knows where this stuff came from, how it grew, when it was harvested. And I came across this online gardening course because everything was online at that time.
Yeah.
And just dove deep into the world of regenerative farming, composting, and then went out to the farm that hosted that online course and met Dan Oostenbrink and Andrew Cousins. And they were the two farmers that led the course, and
cool.
Just loved the food that they grew and the whole ethos of knowing where your food comes from and being intimately involved in that process. So I'm not a green thumb at all, even now, even after taking the course, but I've learned a few things anyway. And I have 3 worm composting bins. So
nice.
All of our compost goes to the worms, and it really cuts down on having to just throw it away in the garbage.
Yeah.
And then I started. So Local Harvest is Dan's farm, and that's in Chilliwack, and they grow regeneratively. So they don't use any sprays or pesticides at all on their produce. They grow seasonally, and it's all about the soil. So they take care of the soil, and the soil just produces beautiful, delicious food. And so I'm like, how can I get this stuff to North Van? And so I was talking with him, and I'd go out there and I'd volunteer on the farm. I'd bring my kids and we'd harvest stuff and help out. And at that time, the farm was like kind of struggling. They've been going at it for about 7 years at that point. So I said to Dan one day, I'm like, is there any way to get your food to North Van? And it wasn't until I looked on their website, the Local Harvest website, that I saw that they offered something called a harvest box.
Cool.
A box of freshly harvested food, whatever was on the farm that week. When in the harvest box is like 12 to 15 different items. And so I'm like, can I try selling these harvest boxes? And so he's like, go for it. And so then I just slowly started this business called Valley to Shore. So from the Fraser Valley to the North Shore. I did that for 2.5 years. I had created this business of connecting people to where their food comes from. And it grew from there. So it started with just the harvest boxes. And then I started meeting other farmers. And so then I added eggs and I added seasonal berries. And then I met another guy who foraged. And I would offer his chanterelles and his morels and things like that. And just met a ton of amazing people in the farming community out there, and did a lot of educating as well on my Instagram about eating seasonally. And then
Yeah.
Andrew was the composting guy, so I'd often showcase him. And we did some workshops together. He would come out to the North Shore doing composting workshops, just teaching people how to garden better without chemicals. And through my business is where I met. Actually, I was invited to be a guest at an event that Teddy Costco. His Instagram handle is called Cast and Iron. He's a fisherman and sponsored by some really cool brands. I didn't even know that he knew that I existed, but he reached out to me one day and said, "Hey, I'm doing this event in Vancouver, and I'm allowed to bring 2 people, and I want you to be one of my special guests." Like, okay, this is cool. So I went there and I met this guy, Lee Miller, who was at that time, the chair for Region 2 Backcountry Hunters and Anglers.
Okay.
And so through Lee, he invited me out to BHA meetings here in Vancouver and got to know other people who hunted. And like, wow, all these guys are so cool. And it just sounded like such great adventures that they had out in the bush, getting their own food. And, the whole valley to shore ethos was knowing where your food came from. That was the little tagline. And so as a meat eater, I was ordering farmer direct from farmers that I had met, my beef, my chicken now, my pork. So I'd never had wild game before, but that seed was sort of planted in my mind, like maybe I could be a hunter and maybe I could do something like this. Like it seemed like such a leap from where I was, but it seemed very adventurous and fun and very different from where I was currently. I've been a stay-at-home mom my whole, adult life, basically. Started having babies at 21. And so the thought of getting out into the bush where there were no trails and there's no, cell phone access and there's no just the conveniences of city life, it was exciting. So that was
very cool.
When things really started to permeate in my mind that this might be something I want to pursue.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time your husband brought home wild game, what was your first impression when you tried it?
Mm-hmm.
Were you nervous to try it? Because I feel like everyone's like, oh, wild game it tastes weird or something, it has all these misconceptions about it. So I'm curious, like how you felt going into it and what you thought of it once you actually had it.
I was excited. I was excited to cook with it. He saved the testicles of this buck.
I have some testicles in my freezer, actually.
So I'm like, okay, this whole nose to tail thing, the testicles are part of this equation. What can I do with testicles? And
nice.
Steve Ranella of Meat Eater is somebody that we've watched many times throughout the years. And he has a video on YouTube about how to prepare deer testicles. So I did like Steve did. And it was basically like chicken nuggets,
nice.
Flouring, egg wash, and you fry them. They weren't bad.
So that was what the first thing you tried was testicles?
No, the first thing was heart, I think.
Oh, okay.
But shortly after, like the heart, the testicles, and then we started cooking up the meat. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Nice.
So yeah, I think I was into it at that point. I was like, this is going to be part of our life now. So I was really appreciative of the meat. I thought it was very exciting that he got some deer from the field and brought it home. The whole manly provider hunt and gather thing. I was like, that's my man. He did it.
Yeah. Nice.
I was proud of him. Yeah. It was great.
Very cool. So before you decided to get your license officially, did you tag along in any hunts or?
Nope. He had to go out and I stayed home with the kids like I do. And he went out for bear with a friend of his to Pemberton. So they went off gallivanting off into the mountains, and he wasn't successful that trip, but his friend Adam was and brought back bear heart for us. And I remember he stopped by our house on his way home, and we fried up that bear heart, and it was delicious. I'm like, this is great. So I thought it was very exciting, and we helped Adam and his fiance at the time turn that whole bear into sausage, and that was a real fun production too. So
it is fun. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but The first deer I got was a white-tailed doe, and Kelly and I made sausages. Actually, it was from Renella's cookbook,
Oh, nice.
and it was these Vietnamese sausages.
Okay.
A lot of like fresh ingredients that go into it. It's not like, it's not reliant on like spices and stuff like that. It's like fresh herbs
Yeah.
and man, they were absolutely incredible. And I think we kind of lucked out with that first batch of sausages. 'Cause maybe like ignorance is bliss a little bit because some of the ones we made after that didn't turn out quite as well. I mean, they still tasted good, but there's like, there's techniques when it comes to making sausages. But yeah, it was a ton of fun and nice to have a beer and put some tunes on and
Yeah.
make sausages. It's a good way to spend a day for sure.
Have you found that the age of the animal sort of just dictates a little bit of how it tastes?
Yeah, I think so. We, it's really interesting because it was my hunting buddy Garrett, who's also an occasional host on here, harvested a really old bull, an elk in the Kootenays many years ago, and it was post rut, and just even coming up on this bull, you could smell him. Like he stunk. He was a stinky old bull,
Uh-huh.
and the meat actually kind of had that smell to it as well. My girlfriend at the time didn't notice it. And whenever we would cook for people, nobody else seemed to notice it, but I could smell it. But the interesting thing was that you didn't taste it in the meat once it was cooked. So like when we were processing this thing and everything, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if this ruddy old bull is going to be any good, but it was totally fine. So I haven't really found like a massive difference in, I think a lot of it is just how you handle it in the field and how you process it, and
Mhm.
hasn't made a huge difference. But I don't know, like the 4 point I had, he definitely had like a sagey taste to him because that's what he was foraging on, I'm assuming, and it was all around him. So it's really, the same thing with bears. You hear about people who harvest a bear that's in the fall and they've been eating lots of berries and stuff, and
Yeah.
the fat is like purple and it has that flavor to it. So
I want one of those.
it's like, yeah, you are what you eat, I guess. So
Right.
same for animals. So it's interesting, but yeah, I mean, it's never really had a huge impact on the taste of the meat, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had that many so far. My son just got his first whitetail buck, a young buck. So
Oh, sweet.
we made, I just threw some ground in with some pasta last night and it was really good. So I'm
Nice.
excited to eat the rest of it.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to hear about your first hunt. I was going to ask you about your first hunt and your first successful hunt, but it sounds like they go hand in hand, which is rare that happens. It was
Yeah.
I think it was 2 years before I had a successful hunt, and I spent a lot of time out there.
Yeah. Well, I went out with Jeb and we got one, but then I got one on my own, which I could talk about later.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So the first time I ever went hunting was with Jeb, my husband, and we went to Boston Bar area
Okay.
and we were going for black bear and it was so hot. It was like 35 degrees in June. It was a super
wow.
hot day. So we didn't know. I don't know if we'd never done black bear together. Well, we never done anything together, but this was his first time, sort of going out as the leader since last time he went out with Adam. And they had been out a few times, but Adam had a bit more experience in the field than Jeb did. So, we're going up FSRs looking for something. We didn't see sign of anything anywhere. But then we ended up camping at my friend's ranch. There's a campground up there as well. I said, let's just bring the trailer and at least we've got somewhere to put it and then we can go ripping around and see if we can see anything. And my friend actually gave us permission to hunt his back field if there was anything there.
Nice.
He said, I've seen a cinnamon and a couple black bears, so feel free to set up there if you want to. So after a full day of just not seeing anything, we decided to walk the back field and we saw a fresh sign. And so we waited for 3 hours in the sun. And I thought if once the sun goes behind the mountain, we'll get some relief from this crazy heat. And maybe, and then, that's when the critters start to move around at that kind of time of day. And I had just finished saying to Jeb, I just want to see some fuzzy ears. And a few minutes later, he's like, bear. And he set up right beside me. There's a bit of a hill to my left, and he had his rifle there. It was right by my head. And I didn't have time to put in my earplugs or anything.
Ooh.
So I was just sitting there with my fingers in my ears and I was waiting and waiting for him to take the shot. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I couldn't see the bear at that point. She was just coming along and she kind of dipped down a little bit. I'm like, oh man, maybe he lost her. And I was sitting on the ground and Jeb was a little bit elevated. So I was thinking maybe he lost her. So I took my fingers out of my ears to ask him, can you still see? And then he went, boom. And then took me a few minutes to regain my hearing.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. But he said she dropped right away. Of course, we didn't know if it was a male or female at that point. So we gave the bear a few minutes and then went over. But he was like, yeah, the bear dropped right away. It was perfect. And it was just a really neat experience, the two of us, to experience such a new activity for us, a new way of eating, a new way of spending time together. So to walk up on this bear and yeah, she's beautiful. I still have her hide to deal with in my freezer. Want to make sure that I do it up right. But yeah, we took the rest of that evening painstakingly because we never field dressed a bear. He's done a couple of bucks, but I had to run back to the trailer, which was like quite far. I don't know how far it was. It felt like very far because I ended up having to do 2 trips. I'm like, oh, we forgot the game bags. Oh, I forgot. Whatever. Nice. Such a run back and forth. But when I came back, we still had reception. So because he had his phone on her hip and he was watching How to Field Dressed Bear.
Oh, nice.
We just got chewed on by no-see-ums, but I was like, Steve would tell me to suck it up if he was like, don't complain. And we were just so in awe that all of this happened so quickly, being our first day. So yeah, we didn't stay long in Boston Bar. Brought it back to Butcher, but she tasted fishy the whole time that we cooked. Every time because we got half of it into ground, half of it into sausage, and every time we cooked the bear, my kids could tell. They would smell from the other room. They're like, "Are you cooking up that bear? It smells like fish." So I don't know if it was what she was eating. Being far away from the coast, like kind of far, I guess, as far as bears go, she could have been coastal at some point.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So the first bear, I was like, I don't know if I want to get another one, but I've had another since then, and I definitely want more bear.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. How did you feel walking up to it for the first time? What kind of emotions were you feeling?
I was just in awe. I was just so in awe of this. Like, who would have thought this city girl would be out here walking up on a bear, and just to put my hand on her and feel her and just, yeah, it was just a really awesome moment to see this animal and be able to touch it and really just take it all in that, we're part of this ecosystem. We're part of this life and death scenario of, and I was glad that the shot was a good one and she didn't run off or anything. She just fell. Yeah. So that's the best case. Yeah, I was super thankful.
So your next hunt, were you on the trigger for this next story that you got?
Yeah. So that was almost to the day a year ago.
Okay.
So I've been, I went out black bear hunting with some friends that I've met since then, and we didn't get anything. I've gone a couple times, but and then Jeb and I went out mule deer hunting last fall. Didn't get anything. And then a friend of mine that lived in Chilliwack that I met through my business, she moved up to 100 Mile on a big ranch. And so she said, if you want, and I'd been saying in my Instagram stories, like, oh, I want to hunt, but, Jeb can't come with me this time. And I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And she said, we got lots of whitetail up here. You can always come up here if you want and come hunt the property. So I took my youngest son, who was 12 at the time, and I thought, we'll go for a day or two. I didn't have a lot of time, but we went up there to her ranch, and that first day we got up super early, sat in a tree stand, didn't see anything. There's deer sign everywhere. There was snow on the ground and deer sign everywhere. We trekked all over the place that whole day, saw a ton of sign, didn't see any deer. And that first day and then the second day we kind of did the same thing. And I was like I don't know. I felt the urge to get back. I don't know if guys feel the same. I don't think dads feel the same. But for moms, it's like, oh, I'm just thinking about all the kids. Felt like I really got to get home. This has got to happen or it's not. So we set up in this other sort of shack that had been made on the property. And around 3:00, the sun's starting to go down. And I told Isaac, like, we'll just stay here we'll just, get ready to sit and be cold and uncomfortable. This could take a while. And like, not even 10 minutes into our sit, I look over to my left at Isaac just to see what he's looking at. And then I see his eyes go like big saucers. And he's like, fuck. And I look across the field. And so there's the field in front of us. And then just beyond that is a little hill and some woods. And there's a barbed wire fence. And there was this buck just walking along. And he'd stopped. He heard that. He heard Isaac say that. And I thought for sure he could see us. I don't think he could, looking back, but I thought he could see us. And I thought for sure he could hear my heart pounding. My heart's just pounding in my ears, and his ears are out. And I'm like, there's a buck. This is the first time I've ever seen a buck. You see deer along the side of the road, but I don't think I've ever seen a buck. And I thought for sure he's going to take off, and that'll be my story. Like, we saw a buck, and then we saw him leave.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah.
But he just stood there and stood there and stood there. And I told Isaac, I'm like, don't move. So we were super still. And then I saw his tail swish. I'm like, ooh, he's relaxing. That's good. And that gave me enough time to lift up my rifle and rest it on this beam in front of me. And I got him in my scope. And Isaac's he was cute. He's coaching me through, because by this time, so this is 2024 now, I only got my firearms license in 2023.
Okay.
But we had been to I'd taken the kids to a number of my first day at the range events,
cool.
Held on by Reliable Gun. So he's coaching me. He's like, just breathe, and at the bottom of your breath, pull the trigger.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's, because I was just trying to stay calm, but my heart's just racing. And I got him in my scope where I wanted him, and I just slowly squeezed that trigger, and I saw him sort of lurch forward and take a couple steps, and then he fell.
Amazing.
I can't believe that just happened. Another just surreal moment of all of these things coming together, deciding in 2022 to get my license. So I got I took my hunting, the Corps, in November of 22, and then I got my firearms license in, I think, late February of 23, and then here we are in November of 24, and my first buck is just less than 100 yards away in front of me. So
amazing.
That was really cool to be there with and to experience that with Isaac. Like, I didn't grow up hunting, Jeb didn't grow up hunting, but I love that my kids are now growing up with these experiences. It was really, really cool. And he was just ecstatic walking up on the buck. Yeah, very special moment. Yeah.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So did the two of you field dress it together?
No, thankfully. Again, it was just such a perfect experience as a brand new hunter, because I'm like, how am I going to get this thing out of here? It's heavy.
Yeah.
And I've never field dressed anything by myself. And I thought, I'm going to have to do this. But it wasn't too far away from my friend's house.
Okay.
So like, we made the walk back to her house. Now, her husband was away for work. She had just broken her wrist.
Oh no.
But she is a butcher. And then her 14-year-old sister, was quite tall, she's like 5'8", had just come home from school. So the two of them and me managed to like yoink this thing one step at a time toward the field where we could get it over the barbed wire fence, because it was kind of like a dilapidated fence. And then I brought my 4Runner down on the field and just, figure-eighted the antlers and just slowly dragged the deer up to the barn where she had a gambrel all set up and
nice
hoisted the whole thing up. And then she just walked me through the whole process of field dressing it that way, skinning it out, and then quartering it. So yeah, that was such a perfect introduction. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like doing mine for the first time, field dressing, and it's intimidating, but all you got to do is just start.
Yeah.
And things sort of reveal themselves as you go along, and it starts to make sense. But it's you walk up on that animal, you're like, oh man, what do I do now?
And that's the really hard stuff. Like, shooting is one thing, and getting in position and finding the animal, but then just the physical part of field dressing an animal and then hauling it out. Like I still haven't really done that. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Like, first hunt stories, both of those.
Mhm.
You definitely got some luck on your side
I
too,
know.
it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're lucky. And I mean, in a short amount of time,
Mhm.
you've made a lot of connections. And it sounds like you're sort of somebody who goes after making those connections with, you were talking about farming and everything like that.
Mhm.
And somehow you connected with our mutual friend, Mark Hall.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, as I was, thinking about becoming a hunter in 2022, I was like listening to a lot of podcasts, and the two that I listened to the most were Mark Hall's Hunter Conservationist podcast, and then Travis Bader, the Silvercore podcast.
Not Rookie Hunter? Come on.
I didn't even know. Sorry.
I'm just kidding. Those are great podcasts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned a lot. Really appreciated all of the content. For Travis's, it was just a lot of storytelling, and then Mark is a lot of more sciencey, and then the nuts and bolts of what's going on around Canada. And so I would be constantly sharing Mark's podcast in my stories and telling, putting a little caption ahead of the story, like what I liked about it. We got to talking on Instagram and things like that. And, he saw what I was doing with Valley to Shore. And so he had me on the show. And then toward the end of that first episode, I said like, yeah, I've been kind of thinking about getting into hunting. And he's like, well, let me know if you end up doing that. And that was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to book the test and get this ball rolling. It took a few months for me to actually do that. But because even my husband was like, do you really want to do that? Like, this is kind of like, I'm going to do it. And, you're going to cook it. It's kind of like a great pair that we got going on here. Great thing. Like, you don't have to go out there. But I'm like, no, I think I actually want to do this. So, but when I really started getting into Mark's world is when I went to my MLA and booked a meeting with her to talk about the budget for conservation for BC. Made a reel about that, or made a post about that. And so that is when he asked me in July of 23, July of 24. Oh my gosh, all these dates are getting mixed up. To come on the team with him, essentially, which was a one-man team of himself. So it's me and him. I just was really blown away that he would want to take this newbie on. Didn't really know much about anything, but I learned a lot. And it was such a blessing to have him as a mentor for the past year and a bit. To learn how to podcast, because I was hosting the Our Stories Connect Us All series that he started. And then coming on, we would do the Around Canada podcast together sometimes.
Right.
And then just being in touch with him like every day and having meetings with him and Robbie Kruger from, Blood Origins, which is now the Origins Foundation. And just having these sort of giants in my eyes at my disposal and being just included. They really included me. They never considered me less than or anything. They were just so happy to infuse their knowledge into me and to take time to educate me and teach me and sort of take me along with what they're doing. It was huge. It was amazing. Yeah.
I'd say that's true for the whole hunting community, because when Kelly and I started podcasting together, the amount of people that reached out to us and offered help and still do today, and the incredible people that said yes to interviews that we never thought we'd be able to get onto our podcast. And then, once you form those relationships, everybody's rooting for you to succeed, especially when you're new. And it's the support that we were given and still are today is absolutely incredible, because it feels like an intimidating thing to get into. But once you get into it, I feel like the majority of people are here to help and they want you to succeed. So it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And it's a small community too. Everybody kind of knows everybody, you start to realize. So.
Yeah, once you start getting into it, really it's all about just giving of yourself. I wanted to help. I wanted to help with BHA. So, I asked Lee, like, how can I help here? Help them organize a bunch of events. And then same with Mark, just how can I help? What can I do? Yeah. And then with Wild Sheep Society of BC, how can I help? Met a ton of people there last year at the Salute to Conservation. It's really where you make connections. It's
Absolutely.
just giving of your time and talents, whatever they are. And that doesn't go unnoticed by the community because we all need each other to make this thing work and to build a strong and healthy community. So it's been great.
For sure. So that kind of takes us closer anyways to the inception of this podcast. And I had talked to Gray and Renee months ago now. And they said, we're planning this thing. We're kind of keeping it under our hats. And we've been keeping our eye on this girl named Dana. So it sounds like they were, I know watching what you were doing, and I don't know if you were aware of that or not. And they said, we want to start this brand new podcast, and if you're okay with it, we'd like you we'd like to introduce you to Dana, and if you don't mind helping with getting this thing off the ground. I said, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So we were introduced, but how did you and Renee connect?
Yeah, I'd seen her in my Instagram stories for months. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because I became friends with Rebecca Peters, who is an alum of the Women Hunt program. And she was also on Mark's podcast just a few episodes after me, the first time that I was on Our Stories Connect Us All. She got on there. And then, so I think I was on there in like February or March of 23 or 24. And then she called me and invited me to come on a bear hunt with her. And it didn't work out that year, but we did go this past spring. Didn't get anything, but
okay.
I met her. And then at the Salute to Conservation, I met Jana Rist, who's another alum, and I met Brandy Love, who's another alum.
Yeah.
So I'm meeting all these women, and I've applied twice for the Women Hunt program.
Okay.
Denied. Yeah. Didn't make it.
Well, it kind of worked out in the end anyways.
Totally worked out. Yeah. But I think I said to both Jana and Rebecca on our hunt this spring, I was like, man, I really hope I get into Women Hunt this summer, like that I get that affirmative into August when they tell everybody, yay or nay, you made it or not. Because I just feel like I belong in this family. Like I belong in the Women Hunt team, in the crew. I saw Renee looking at my stories, but I never really talked to her, just a couple times on Instagram, just like commenting on her story or vice versa.
Yeah.
And then, so I've been homeschooling my kids for years too. And my youngest one I've homeschooled for the past like 3 years, and he's going to go to public school in the fall. So my husband and I were thinking like, okay, now's a good time for me to sort of think about a part-time job.
Yeah. And
I'm like, I would love to do I'm an entrepreneur. I don't really want to work for anybody. But
yeah, you, me, both. Yeah.
I've done that once, and it's not easy when you're an entrepreneur to work for somebody else.
No, it's not. It's almost impossible. Yeah.
Yeah. This kills something in your soul.
Yeah.
But so I was thinking about starting my own brand. Like, what would that be? Something outdoors, but then that would take me out of the home and yada, yada. Anyway, my husband and I were talking about what this could look like of me having a part-time gig. And so we were on our way on a camping trip this July, and I get a text message from Renee in the car. And I look at my phone, I'm like, holy crap, it's Renee. And she's texting me, and she got my number from Brandy, and she wants to talk business. I'm like, Renee Thornton wants to talk business with me. Okay, what could that be? I was so excited to talk to her. So we set up a call in my trailer since I was camping. And so I was like, I'm not going to say I'm camping, can't talk right now. Like, I'm camping and I want to talk right now. So she broached the topic of this podcast idea that she had, and she wants me to be the host. I'm like, what? It was crazy. It all happened really fast initially. It's taken a long time to come to this point of like, as of today, we're like almost ready. I've just locked in my first guest this morning.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. It's going to happen this week. There's been a number of hiccups the past few months, but it's happening. And yeah, I'm just so thankful to be part of the Women Hunt team and then the Wild Sheep Foundation family. It really is a family. And even when I went to the Salute to Conservation in Penticton last February, and I did a sort of follow-up episode with Mark, and he asked me, what was my biggest takeaway of that experience? And I said, it just seemed like everybody was a family. Everybody's on level playing field. Doesn't matter if you're some, redneck kid, you live out in the off grid, or if you're some, wealthy, whatever. And,
Yeah.
You've been hunting sheep forever, or it's just everybody's on the same page. Everybody's a team. Everybody's a family. And you're all there to have a good time together. And that was obvious from day one of that event. So that was my biggest takeaway from there. And so now to be part of the family, like officially, is just so awesome. I'm really thankful.
Yeah. Welcome to the family.
Yeah.
It's a good one to be in. Trust me, the foundation and, the Wild Sheep Society of BC up here, and everybody has been so incredible to me and so supportive over the years. So it's, yeah, man, it almost sounds cliche because we talk about the sheep family all the time, but it's a real thing.
Yeah.
We're not paid to say that. It's a real thing. So if you're not in it, you should join it for sure. And that's obviously, we encourage people to become members. But it's incredible. And for people who haven't experiencing Sheep Show, highly recommended. And if you're in BC, to attend the convention, and nothing but good times and chaos and
I know.
everything in between. So
yeah, I'm really excited. I've never been to Sheep Show before, so this will be my first one in January.
Nice.
And then going again to the Salute is going to be really fun too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's great. So tell me the idea behind the podcast. What are you hoping to do with it?
Yeah, so it's called the Ignite podcast. It had a different name to begin with, and then Renee wanted to make it less like gender specific. We've both been just really supported by men in our lives. Didn't want to leave them out of the conversation. So yeah, the Ignite podcast. And I'll be interviewing everyone from hunters, conservationists, trailblazers, leaders in their communities, in their spheres of influence. We want to hear good stories. We want to build community around Ignite and around Women Hunt, and obviously around the Wild Sheep Foundation. So
yeah,
there's some amazing people out there with great stories to tell. I want to hear it all.
Oh, yeah.
So
exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I know it'll really take shape over time. And, I'm a fairly new podcast host. I've only been doing it for a year. And I know that my skills will only be sharpened. So just trying to glean as much as I can from people like yourself who've been doing it longer than me. But I'm really excited for this show and for all the opportunities and conversations and connections that will come out of it.
Very exciting. And are you guys planning on doing a weekly show?
Yes. So, with Mark, I would just chat, and then there you go. You take care of the rest. So the learning process for me on the back end will be a good one, I think. I'm looking forward to that too. Travis, he taught himself. So he's been a big cheerleader for me to be a podcast host. And we talked a lot about that last year at the Salute, about me, doing my own podcast. So this is kind of like the best of everything. I don't have to create something from scratch alone.
Totally.
I've built a brand before, built my own brand. And now to be, in community doing it, to having support and people to help me, people to give me grace, just encourage, like all of that is amazing to not have to sort of figure this out by myself, and yourself, to help me as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I'm in the best possible position for this to be really successful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting. I can't wait to hear your first episode.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I kind of wanted to close the interview with is when Kelly and I started doing this podcast, it's almost 10 years ago now.
Wow.
Maybe not that far back, but it would have been, I'm not even going to try and do the to figure out when we started it. It's been a while anyways. And we would get women reaching out to us and saying, how do I get into this? And we always, if it was a guy, we'd say, yeah, just find some dudes and go out there and go hunting with them,
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily want to give that same advice to women from a safety standpoint. Like, don't just go jump in a truck with some random guy. But
Yeah.
our only advice at the time was go to BHA's pint nights and join some groups. So that's the best way to meet people. But there weren't really any resources for women, so we always kind of struggled with that question.
Yeah.
But now there's, in comparison, there's a ton of resources for women, which is incredible. But I'm curious, if you're going to get this question. So what advice would you give to women that are going to reach out to you and say, hey, where do I start?
Yeah. And I've had that conversation lots of times already. Yeah. It depends where they are, I guess. I point them as well to BHA if they can. Right now, Region 2 is pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would love if that got going more consistently, but I think that is the plan. I'm involved here on the North Shore with North Shore Fish and Game, trying to get this community sort of going a little bit more.
Cool.
Yeah, it really depends where the gal lives.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage her to, get her licenses, get her core, get her PAL. Is there a gun range nearby? Because I know that gun ranges have their own community as well.
Yep.
And then, hopefully, I live on Instagram, so that's where I've met so many people. So I find it's a lot easier if I can sort of send them a bunch of ladies to follow. But that is something that I'm thinking about too. Like, how can I create something? I don't know if that's something TBD to be created at some point for women, at least in BC.
Mm-hmm.
I do get a lot of questions from ladies around here, like how do I start? What should I do? So I'm working on it with North Shore Fish and Game to create opportunities for people to get together. That's my jam. Networking is my jam, and learning together and building community. That's something that I love to do and facilitate. So we had some good times at BHA doing that. And then when because Lee left and moved to Kamloops, just left us. And my husband was like, do not become the new chair of Region 2. Like, you have enough going on. So I was sort of the stand-in while two other guys eventually did jump in that role, and they're finding their feet there. But they are doing some things. Sky Davis is, or Davidson, his name. He's getting some things together. But before then, I had to organize some opportunities to get together at Reliable Gun and with Silver Core and things like that. So I try and stay together, like connected to those ladies that are asking me questions, so that when things do come up, either here in the Lower Mainland or other parts of BC, I can sort of direct her to those events. I know BHA on the island is quite active.
Nice.
So it just depends where she is. And then, I just say, follow me on Instagram and I'll try and help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. Long story short, just start asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you're going to get connected to the right people.
And then serving, just put your hand up and start serving.
For sure.
Yeah. If you're always waiting for the opportunities to come to you, it'll never happen. But if you jump in there, like Renee did, and like I did, that's where you really get knit into the family. And then it's easy.
Yeah.
100%.
100%. Right on. Well, anything else you want to add before we close this out?
No, I don't think so. This has been a great conversation, a long time coming, and like banging my head against the wall with technical difficulties. I'm really excited for the future of the Ignite podcast and all that Women Hunt has planned for the future. I know that there's some new things going to be launched in 2026, giving more opportunities, because Women Hunt only happens once a year, and there's definitely an appetite. There's more and more women that want to get involved in some way in hunting. So we recognize that there's more and more opportunity and appetite for women to get involved, and we want to make that easier and easier and just grow the community. So it's an exciting time to be in hunting for sure.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thanks, Dana. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
There you go. Many of us, including myself, can relate to those origin stories. However, she had a lot more luck than we did when we started out. It was many years before we had a successful hunt. So that's awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you go and check out the podcast and support what she's doing over there. Again, that's the Ignite podcast. Check it out, subscribe, do all the things. But that's it for this week. I'm hoping to have something new lined up for next week. So we'll talk to you then. Cheers.